Hello and welcome to SweetSpotDFS. It's your DFS strategy video for the 2021 Northern Trust. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the preview video I put out last night, because I'm going to cover a lot of information from that video in this one without much explanation. So if you hadn't had a chance to watch that one, don't worry. Link top right hand corner, drill down on that. That'll bring you to the preview video. Watch that one, come back, you'll have a clearer picture of what I'll be covering in this one. But this video really is just meant to narrow down our player pools and really find our anchor plays, our anchor golfers to build our lineups around. And we'll be doing that looking at marquee tee time pairings as well as anchor buckets. And again, we talked about the bucket system in the preview. You'll understand which buckets I'll be talking about in this one. I'll also pull out the SweetSpotDFS optimizer, try to figure out what the most optimal lineups are, especially with certain combos or a combo of golfers, that kind of thing. So that'll be a little bit later on in the video. With that being said, I do have timestamps in the description below. You can also find them on YouTube's progress bar. All you gotta do is hover over it and you can skip to whatever part of the video you'd like. So that being said, let's go ahead and get in this thing. Start off right away with the SweetSpot rank. Now, I do a bad job of spending too much time covering what the score covers. But what I'm gonna do is just show you on screen. All the stats up here are what the score goes into. Official World Golf Ranking, I look at all the grass stats. We look at tournament history, bogey avoidance, birdie or better, recent form stats. All of these are recent form stats. These are season-long stats. That creates a score that then creates the rank. So number one golfer, Mr. Jon Rahm, followed by Jordan Spieth. You can see the rest of the guys on the screen. I'm not going to go over every single one of them. What I do like to do is kind of highlight some of the lower priced guys on DraftKings that kind of have my attention based off their sweet spot rank. This is like the first time that I've not seen a 7K golfer inside the top 20. And basically all the golfers you see on screen are within the top 20. Our cheapest guy, Joaquin Niemann at $8,100. Absolutely love that guy this week. I think this course plays well to his game. He plays tough courses really well, and he has the game to perform anywhere. Outside of that, Tony Finau, $8,200. I wouldn't say it's a huge fall from grace than what we've seen Finau at, but usually he's in that upper 8, maybe lower 9K range. He had flirted with some of the higher 9K price tags in the past, but $8,200 is very, very compelling. Like I like Finau at $8,200. There's always risk in rostering any golfer. I would say his risk of owning him at $8,200 a little bit lower than it has been in the past. Excuse me. But yeah, with the sweet spot rank, DraftKings and my rankings pretty much hand in hand, but very close. All of our 10K golfers. Justin Thomas breaks inside the top 5. We have 7 10K golfers. He's the only one not in the 10K range inside the top 5. So maybe there's a little bit of leverage that you can play with that. Yeah, that's a sweet spot rank. What I like to do with this rank is determine my marquee tee time pairings. So basically, all 3 golfers in a pairing, if their collective score, their collective sweet spot rank is under, this week it's 83 points. And the reason it's 83 is because 124 multiplied by 66% gets us 83. And I use 66% because it's 2/3 of the field. It's something that Mr. Guru Nick and I kind of came up with, trying to figure out, your best groupings. I think that's a pretty good score. 2/3 of the field. Think about it this way. Some of these marquee tee time pairings, like these 3 golfers together, Paul Casey, Webb Simpson, Russell Henley, their collective score is 57. 3 of them combined better than Brian Stewart, better than Taylor Gooch, that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting when you think of it that way. But if I were to filter out all of the golfers who aren't in the marquee tee time pairings, marquee tee time pairings are all of the golfers here highlighted in this dark green. There are 8 marquee tee time groups. So that in itself is kind of interesting. I'm going to highlight them all for you on the screen. And let's talk about these guys. We'll go top to bottom. Paul Casey, Webb Simpson, Russell Henley. That is your first group. Webb and Russ played last week. They were in contention to win the tournament at the Wyndham Championship. Paul Casey was not. I don't know exactly how it's going to affect their games. They do have an early morning tee time, which when we strategize, say showdown lineups, we usually like to gravitate towards the morning guys because scoring is a little bit easier in the morning. Greens are a little bit slower. There's dew on them, that kind of stuff. I don't know if these two come out to a slow start because of how late into the tournament they played last week. It could go either way. I'm a competitive golfer. It affects me differently. And it really just depends on how much I've golfed recently, how many times I've been in contention. Really, Russell Henley, Webb Simpson over the last month haven't played that much golf. So it's not something I really worry about those two. I'll say this. I do like Webb's chances a little bit better than Russell Henley's, primarily because the tournament last week was really close to his hometown. So it wasn't like he had to travel very far. He's not going to be fatigued. This tournament is in New Jersey. So it's not that far of a trip from this tournament. All right. Too much is going into this. Russell Henley at $7,600. I say fire him up. Webb Simpson, $8,900. I'm going to pause a little bit. A little bit of caution there because $8,900 is kind of spendy for me in this situation. If he was like $84, $85, and I know we're splitting hairs, $400 or $500, I think he would be a really good value there. And I say you have to load up on him. But 89 might make lineup construction a little difficult. And then Paul Casey at 87, that's exactly where he should be. So I have no problem if you want to play Paul Casey. I do say in all these marquee tee time pairings, always select just one golfer out of a group. There have been instances, don't get me wrong, where there have been two guys who finish inside the optimal lineup or even inside the top 10. But your best chances are just select one guy to build your lineups around when it comes to these groups. So I'll just highlight these guys. We've already talked about them. Let's move on to the next group. Cam Smith, Hideki Matsuyama, Brooks Koepka. Matsuyama missed the cut last week. That's actually in one of those buckets that is helpful to miss the cut the week before the Northern Trust. So I don't mind Hideki. $9,000 is pretty much where he should be. If he was in the 8K range, it would just look that much more attractive. But I don't mind Hideki Matsuyama. Cam Smith at 85, I think is great as well. I will be playing some of these golfers in this lineup. Brooks, on the other hand, not the greatest ranking inside the SweetSpot model, but it's hard to fade Brooks completely. It's usually when everyone's off of him is where he does really well. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't mind. This is kind of a limbo group. Like, I don't know what to do with them. I don't absolutely love them and I don't absolutely hate them. I'm just kind of meh on all three of them. The next group is kind of interesting. Xander Schauffele, Victor Hovland, and Jason Kokrak. I think Kokrak is a tremendous value at $7,700. We just saw him in the 10K range over at the Wyndham Championship last week. He missed the cut. Again, missing the cut isn't that big of a deal. I think he's a decent play. And paired up with two golfers who didn't golf last week in Xander and Victor, I think all of their games, maybe not so much Kokrak, but like how they hit golf balls, I shouldn't even say that. For whatever reason, they just remind me of themselves a little bit. Again, not Kokrak, but I think Xander and Victor's game is sort of reminiscent of each other, which helps when you're paired up. Kind of seeing the same ball flight, that kind of thing, I think helps. And so I don't mind Xander, I don't mind Victor, and I absolutely love Jason Kokrak this week. The next group, Daniel Berger, Scotty Scheffler, Patrick Reed, all took the week off last week. And all three of them, I think you have to load up. I think this is where I will be anchoring a lot of my lineups around one of these three golfers. Like I really like Scheffler, and I know a lot of people in the industry do. Same goes with Daniel Berger. That 9K range, the lower 9K range is super easy to build lineups around. But then you have Patrick Reed at 8,600. I think that's also a fantastic golfer to build around. Next group is, I mean, when it comes to ball striking, sure, Jordan Spieth isn't as good as he once was, but he's definitely improving. And Cantlay and Morikawa, you know, they're just, it's a phenomenal ball striking group. I want to see what their approach stats are. If I scroll over, let's take a look here. So Jordan Spieth on the season is gaining 0.5 strokes approach. Morikawa is your leader by far, 1.3. And Cantlay is 0.5. So Cantlay and Spieth, pretty darn close to each other. How about recently? Recently, the approach stats don't look the greatest for all of them, except for Cantlay. So that's interesting. How about off the tee? Spieth kind of struggling. The other guy's pretty good. So yeah, I mean, it's a solid group. And if you wanted to anchor your lineups around any three of those golfers, there's no issue here with that. In fact, Spieth is number 2 in my ranking. Morikawa's number 7. Cantlay is 21st, but he is $9,200. So I have no issue playing Patrick Cantlay this week. Yeah, load up on those guys. I wouldn't say it's that much of a lock for me as opposed to the group above them, the Berger, Scheffler, Reed, but it's pretty close. Next one's interesting. Justin Thomas, Bryson DeChambeau, and Sam Burns. The first 2 golfers, you'd say, yeah, them paired up together, they're in the same kind of echelon. But then you got Sam Burns, who is definitely trending that way. Like, he's super talented, and his potential is very high. So I don't have an issue with Sam Burns whatsoever. And at $8,000, you know, he might actually get lost in the fold. Sam Burns, $8,000. Maybe not. I don't know. It feels that way from what I'm getting a sense around the industry. Like, not a lot of people are talking about Burns, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out, you know, all those fan share videos out there that talk about ownership, that kind of stuff. Personally, I don't care about ownership. The optimal lineup does not care about ownership. The best scorers are going to be in the optimal lineup. So that's why I don't really spend too much time talking about ownership. For leverage purposes, yeah, it totally makes sense. If you want to leverage against everybody else, ownership's the way to do it. But for me, when it comes to optimal lineups, if you're chasing the optimal lineup, ownership means absolutely nothing. So I don't know. We'll see. I do like Burns 8,000. I think that's value. Bryson and Justin Thomas, I think, are also interesting plays. Thomas number 5 in the model, Bryson number 22. I actually don't mind Bryson this week. I think he might be a little bit of a contrarian play. And Justin Thomas, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people will get to Justin Thomas. $9,800 is kind of cheap. So I don't know. I think decent choices to pick from there. Next group is Mr. John Rahm, Abraham Answer, and Harris English. I like them all, except for Harris English. Harris English has had decent course history at this tournament. So he was second last year at TPC Boston, but I'm looking at Liberty National. That's where we are this week. Again, you'd get that in the preview video if you watched it. I don't see English inside the top 20. And in 2013, where we played there also, I don't see English at all either. So yeah, he has good tournament history. He doesn't have great course history. So I don't know. I think English is a solid golfer, but at $8,800, I don't know if I can get there. Answer's also another one that I'm not sure I can get to either. He actually has decent Liberty National course history. He placed here second in 2019, so might have some good vibes coming into this tournament. But at $9,400, I know he just won the WGC FedEx. I don't know how that's going to play. I mean, I like him as a golfer in general. I don't know. He's 50-50 for me. I absolutely love Jon Rahm this week, though. I will be anchoring a lot of my lineups around Jon Rahm. Best golfer in the field, number 1 in my ranks. He also plays really well on bent grass. I forgot to mention that. As of course, we covered this in the preview. but the best bent grass golfer in the field. He also has the greatest top 10 success rate. So that is obviously finishing inside the top 10, which is what you want when it comes to optimal lineups. And really good 2021 bent grass. So I don't see really any flaws in his driving. I don't see any flaws in his approach. And really, if we get down to the nitty gritty when it comes to putting, he obviously does well on bent grass. So I do like Rahm this week. And then the last group, Finau, Kevin Na, Billy Horschel. This might be one of the greatest forgotten marquee tee time pairings that I've ever gone through. And I mean, it barely fit the marquee tee time pairing. I think all three of their scores equaled 80, if I recall. I'm not going to unhighlight all of this just to prove that. But yeah, Kevin Na, so I liked him last week at the Wyndham Championship. At $7,500 this week, I think he's actually a decent play. And we do want to find some top 20s from the week before. I mean, we really just want to have one in our lineup, but Kevin Na is not a bad choice. Billy Horschel took the week off. I'm not sure how his game really... Did he take the week off? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong on that. Actually, he did take the week off. Crazy. Billy Horschel, okay. I don't even know why we didn't talk about that in the Wyndham. But either way, took the week off, as did Tony Finau. I don't have a strong pull towards any of these guys, but I do like the possibilities of building lineups around them, because you're probably gonna get leverage off of owning one of these golfers, and I think a lot of people will be sleeping on Na this week. I don't know. We'll see. But those are your marquee tee time pairings. Let's go ahead, get right into the anchor buckets. Now, this right here is anchoring your lineups off of tee time pairings. Let's look a little further into it and look at our anchor buckets. So what I like to do, here, let me just put a filter on this first. Let me just clear out all of the little sub filters. What I like to do is make sure my projected amount of golfers are greater than 1. And the reason, like, how do I come up with the projections? I'm looking at how many golfers are in that bucket this week. I'm also looking at the strength of field that's applied to that bucket. And then I'm also considering the success rate. Success rate is based off of historical data at this tournament. You know, how many times has this bucket finished inside the top 10 with all the golfers that fit under the bucket? And with all those numbers, it comes up with a projection. And based on that projection, I apply it to 600 positions. Because I create 100 lineups, and obviously on DraftKings and on FanDuel, you have 6 positions per lineup. So 6 times 100, that's 600. So out of 600 spots, how to read this max ownership, this is how many golfers I'll be playing within those 600 spots. So hopefully that's easy to do. But either way, I like to filter by condition, go greater than or equal to 100. Or I mean 1, sorry. And then also max ownership, I like to go greater than or equal to 100 as well. Actually, let's do this. I want to go 0.9 because I want to include some that are very close. And then when it comes to max ownership, I also want to go with 0.9 as well, or 90, I should say. So I want 90 out of 100 spots. So with that being said, I really don't discuss salaries or strokes gained. I don't know if there's enough data to normalize these results, but you can see the important ones here. Salary 10K and above, 9K, 8K, 7K. You can see most of these have 1s. It's telling us we want 2 10K golfers. Like 2 10K golfers will finish inside the top 10, but really only play 1. And maybe in 40% of those lineups, play a second one, which would be very stars and scrubsy. But yeah, we want to basically stick to our 9, 8, and 7s. And then when it comes to strokes gain stats, basically you really want to focus on everything positive. If not, just go down the board, positive off the tee, positive putting with a negative stat in between. That's approach or around the green. Strokes gain 3 is positive putting, negative, or positive off the tee, negative putting, and then whatever stat in between, doesn't matter. And strokes gain 4 is negative off the tee, positive putting, and whatever stat in between. So it kind of goes down the board there. Strokes gained 5 would be negative off the tee and negative putting. So even if you had a good ball striker in there or a good approach golfer in there, probably want to avoid those. Same applies with golfers who do not have strokes gained stats, which I think there's only 2 of them. But either way, we won't be talking about those buckets as our anchor buckets. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them. We're only talking about the buckets you see on the screen. So last year, we have 3 buckets to choose from. Last week, we have 1. Course history, we have 3. And recent form, we have 3. So we'll go throughout all of those golfers and try to figure out which ones we like the most. So let's start with last year ones. Let me get rid of the filter we have here. Sort by salary, and then just take out our select our last year ones. So this bucket starts with Jon Rahm, and I won't lie, we're starting there. I am building lineups around Jon Rahm. I'm gonna go ahead, select him, throw him right here. From there, Hovland, Scheffler, Berger, those are easy picks for me as well. I will also apply those here. And in fact, why don't we just call this our last year 1 bucket? From here, it drops. Well, it goes to Webb Simpson 89, Harris English 88, Cam Smith 85. If you like any of those golfers, add those to your anchor plays. But for me, I'm just going to drop straight down to Jason Kokrak. Really like Kokrak this week. Let's go ahead, throw him right here, kind of separate those high price guys versus our 7K. And then from here, like, I don't mind Henley. I don't mind Munoz. We might want to choose a 6K golfer here, but I'm not positive on that. And in fact, I'm not going to. These are anchor plays. I'm not anchoring any of my plays around 6K golfers. So right now I have 7 golfers chosen for the last year ones. Let's look at the other buckets. So last year 3, and I should mention, you want to select somewhere between 1 to 2 of the golfers I just chose to anchor your lineups around. And we'll mess around with that. We'll build some lineups with those golfers just to see how it looks. The next bucket to talk about, last year 3s. I am projecting 1.6 inside the top 10, so somewhere between 1 to 2. But I'm not quite there fully in rostering, 100. Well, I shouldn't even say 100%, because you can do anything with this 98 number. You can create 98 lineups with one of these golfers, or with those 98 positions, you can mix and match, have 2, 3, or 4 added to one lineup, and then obviously go from there. But let's look at our last year 3 golfers. Starts with Xander, which pretty interesting. And then goes to Hideki Matsuyama. Actually, those are your only 2 golfers 9,000 and above. Corey Connors is there, kind of like Corey this week. But I guess if I'm selecting golfers from here, I'm probably going like this. I do like Tringali. But this is it. I think I'm only selecting 4 golfers from here. So I can call this my last year 3 bucket. And let's just move on. I don't want to spend too much time going over a lot of these, but last year 2s. We want to anchor our lineups around here. We're actually forecasting somewhere between 2 to 3, or projecting 2 to 3 inside the top 10, and really want to own 176 spots. I don't know how to word that. 176 positions, spots on the team. I don't know. Out of 600 lineups, or under I can't think of how to say that. Out of 600 lineups, no, out of 600 positions, I want to own 176. Wow. I'll have to work on that. Last year 2s. So almost want to select 2 per lineup. We have Spieth, Morikawa at our 10K range. I like them both. We also have Bryson, Cantlay, Neiman, Burns. You know what? I really don't care for some of these 7K golfers. I don't mind Leishman. He's kind of my wild card. I also like Fitzpatrick, and I like Im. That's way too many golfers to select from. I guess if I have to pull someone out, I'm going to go Bryson. And I'm going to live with this. 7 is fine. I don't mind having 7 golfers here. So we'll do that, and this is our last year 2s. So far, last year ones, you want to select somewhere between 1 to 2 of these golfers. Last year 3, you don't necessarily need to select one, but you can basically create 98 out of 100 lineups with one of these golfers. And then last year 2s, we want to select around 2 of these guys. I think it's 1 to 2, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 1 to 2, but up to 3. Really, like I think we could have 3 of these guys inside the top 10. So we'll try building lineups with these guys, but very interesting to see that. Next bucket, last week ones. I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of golfers that we already talked about within that bucket. Like I already know there's a bunch. These are your did not plays from last week, and it's the only anchor bucket out of the last week buckets. So basically what we're saying is owning someone who played last week might not be the best choice, because the last week ones are only those who did not play last week. So this is the only for sure thing. And I think it's largely because it's kind of a volume driven bucket. We have 50 golfers in this bucket. And it's really hard to choose from them. But we see Jon Rahm, we already selected him. Jordan Spieth, Xander, we already selected them. Colin is there. We kind of got rid of Bryson, but he was there. Hovland. Did we include Scheffler? Yeah, Scotty Scheffler, Daniel. Okay. So yeah, we have Scheffler, we have Berger, we have Cantlay. I think we have Connors, right? Did we include Neiman? I think we have Neiman, right? Neiman, Burns, Fitzpatrick. There's Fitzpatrick, there's Burns. Sungjae and Mark. So Sungjae played last week. And Mark Leishman will be there as well. So, I mean, we already have a bunch of our golfers within this bucket. The only ones that we don't, that I actually kind of like, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas. Their last year buckets aren't very good, if we're being honest here. They had poor finishing positions last year. Anybody else? I guess Paul Casey and Patrick Reed. So yeah, we'll add these 4 golfers. I like them. I think that's it. So what I'm going to do with these golfers, I'm not going to add Brooks. These 4 golfers, I'm going to add them over to this column, and we'll just call this wild card. This is just any of the golfers we haven't seen here that fit in those other buckets. I do like them. So that's our last week ones. Let's go ahead and look at our next anchor bucket. Just going all over the place. Course history ones. That's your 20 to 40 range. And we are projecting around 3 to 4 finishing inside the top 10 and reserving about 223 out of 600 spots in our lineups for these golfers. So let's go ahead and take a look. Course history ones. Again, we have Rahm, we have Spieth, now we have McIlroy included. We do have Cantlay, we have Casey, we have Reed, Connors, Kokrak, nah. Did we include Munoz? I don't remember. Yeah, Sebastian Munoz is there. Did we include Finau? We did not. Okay, so Finau showed up twice, and I really haven't selected him either time. That's kind of your 7K and above. Okay, so I like Vegas. Okay, I like Vegas. I like Finau. And I think that's all. That's all I need to add, really. I'm not going to add Adam Scott. I don't trust him. Interesting play nonetheless. I don't know if I can get there. Maybe we should. Let's go ahead. We'll just add them. It's kind of like a speculative ad. So we'll add that right here. And really, I want to name these, but it's just going to cause an error in the formula. So never mind. Okay, let's move on. Go to the next one. And I get it. I guess I didn't think of this. What's going to happen is it's going to be difficult to remember who the course history ones are. Like, obviously, we know Rahm. Rahm shows up a bunch. We do want that. It's just hard to determine. Like, they're obviously under our last year bucket. So either way, I'll try to remember that, when we build lineups. Course History 2 is the next one. That's that 40 to 60 range. And we're, again, projecting around 3 inside the top 10, but we're only really reserving 1 to 2 spots per lineup for these golfers. So Course History 2s, we already have Xander on the team, Berger, Neiman, Henley. Did we pick Tringali? I did talk about, there we go. Perfect. Is there anybody else that I like out of these groups? I mean, I guess Cameron Smith now shows up again. We could add him to the last year ones since we didn't already. Answer's also up there, another one. He just continues to show in these buckets, and I can already tell all 5 of his buckets are good. It doesn't ensure that he's going to finish inside the top 10. It just increases his chances. So, and same goes with Bryson DeChambeau. Oh, tough choices, man. When it comes to anchor plays, I think I'm just going to stay put. I'm not going to add anybody else. This is just conversation. You guys can choose whoever you'd like. Course History 3s, we're looking at somewhere between 1 to 2 inside the top 10, but really only reserving around 100 positions out of 600. So to me, that's basically saying we can own up. We can in all of our lineups, we can have at least one Course History 3. We can do that. We don't have to, but we can. When it comes to Course History 3s, we have Morikawa up there. Perfect. Remember, we kind of skipped English, but Sung Jae's there like that, Leishman, and then it drops to the 6K range pretty fast. So maybe this is where we find some of our 6K golfers to sprinkle into our lineups. I personally don't choose 6K golfers in over 10% of my lineups. I rather not. Your 6K range is kind of your wild card range. Anything can happen here. That's why they're in the 6K range. Their volatility is extreme. So yeah, Adam Hadwin could win this tournament. Don't get me wrong. As could Lucas Glover, maybe Joel Damon, or even maybe Roger Sloan. But I'm not going to get there. If I do want to select a golfer from here, it's probably Morikawa and Im. Leishman is a wild card in some instances for me. But I'm okay with kind of anchoring my lineups around them and then obviously regretting it afterwards because that's just how it works. Looking at our next buckets, we're now into our recent form. So we'll look at recent form bucket 3 first. That's your 1 to 20. So your golfers with the best recent form coming in. We're projecting around 2 to 3 inside the top 10, only reserving about 140 spots out of 600 though, of our lineups, which again, we can own at least one of these golfers in all of them, in all 100 lineups, or, kind of select as many as we can. With the golfers we see on the screen, yeah, I like a lot of these guys. Rahm's already in our anchor play. Spieth is, Morikawa is, Scheffler, Berger, Casey. We skipped Cam Smith, Tringali. We added Vegas. So we have a lot of our golfers from this selection. So that's looking good already. Let's move on to the other one. So recent form ones. DJ's up there. Now, DJ has ones all the way across for all of his bucket scores, which obviously is a good thing. I just don't know how I feel. I don't think he's been playing that great as of late. But yeah, obviously he's in each of these top buckets. Chances of him finishing inside the top 10 are pretty high. But Xander's here for us. McIlroy, Thomas, Hovland. We skipped Answer, English, and Simpson. We did pick Corey Connors. We added Finau. Neiman is here. Kokrak is here. Henley is here. Im. So yeah, we've got more than enough golfers in this bucket as well. Let's see if the recent form 2s try to persuade us any other way. Cantlay is there. You know what? I kind of want to add Fitzpatrick if I didn't already. Oh, he already is added. There we go. So I think we're good. We're set. That's kind of our anchor. It's our player pool right here. How many golfers do we have? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. That's okay. I don't mind those 26 golfers. I think, building around these guys, whether it be 2, 3, 4 of them, probably a good choice. I'll leave this. How about this? This is what I want to do. I want to add it so when we go through the review, we can kind of tell. We can tell who we selected and who we didn't. I just confused myself. What the hell? Okay. There we go. So I'm going to leave this like this, and I will build lineups underneath to try to figure out where we can go from there. So I mean, like, Jon Rahm to me seems like a very safe play to start with. I like Rahm. Let's build 2 Rahm lineups and kind of go through. Now, remember, we want 1 to 2 last year ones, if you can remember. I don't mind adding Kokrak to one of these lineups. And that'll be 2. That'll be my 2 right there. Scotty Scheffler, I like quite a bit. So I'll add that here. You can see it doesn't leave us a lot of salary left. But Cameron Tringali should help with that. I think I can add him here, 73, because I think he's $7,300. I could add him here to add a little bit more. But I think what I'm going to do is put my Kevin Na here, Fitzpatrick here. I'm going to go Leishman there. And then 77, 73. I want to grab a random 6K golfer. And really, I guess it's not so much random. I'm gonna choose a 6K golfer. Like, I like Carlos Ortiz a lot. I think there's high upside there. Actually, let's do it this way. Rank under 83, since that's 66% of the rank, or the amount of golfers in this field. So less than or equal to 83. That way we can kind of get rid of some of the quote-unquote riffraff and just select the golfers we like. So I don't mind McNeely. McNeely seems like a decent play. I don't care for the 6 that's right there. In fact, if you're playing him, I wouldn't include him with Rory McIlroy. It's just that bucket is not a bucket that's really going to show up a lot inside the top 10. So play your percentages. In fact, if I were to open this back up to everybody and look at the last year's 6 bucket, we're only projecting half a golfer inside that top 10. Let's see, do we have any other ones? Okay, no, we have all of our last year's. Yeah, last year's 6 is reserving 28 spots out of 100. Sure, you could pair them up if you wanted to, but really it's not there for you. 9.23% success rate. Happens 57% of the time of golfers in this bucket finishing inside the top 10. It's not looking good. So probably staying away from McNeely because I like Rory too much. But with that being said, I think I'm not going to own Rory as much. I think everybody's going to get on him, and I think we're going to get really disappointed by it. Anyways, let's go ahead and just add Ortiz to one of those lineups. We can do it to this one. And now we will give us $7,800 to work with. Maybe I want that? Because I do want to add Vegas. He's a wild card golfer. I like that. $8,300. I can just use this over here. We can use Corey Connors here. Perfect. I like that. And then 78 for the other one. Oh, man. I wish I could add Fitzpatrick. But guess what? Does that work? Oh, yeah. Perfect. When it comes to color coding, this is all based off of strokes gained stats. Your dark green are your strokes gained 1s. Light green is strokes gained 2. Yellow strokes gained 3. Orange is 4. Red is 5. I typically don't want to select more than 1 red golfer, if you want to call it that. And that includes both colors, the light red and the dark red. When it comes to orange, I don't really like to go over 2. Kind of same thing with 3, with strokes gained bucket 3. Sometimes, though, I will go 3 golfers there, so I don't mind that. But yeah, those are some pretty decent Jon Rahm lineups. Trying to think. Start with Jordan now. So we want to select 2 golfers from this bucket. I mean, Munoz to me kind of stands out. Like, I want to play that. Same with Henley. Add Kokrak to 1. Let's add it to this one. Berger to another. That seems pretty reasonable. I do like Fitzpatrick yet again, so I don't mind adding him. Let's put it right here. Can we get away with maybe adding a Patrick Cantlay here? Oh yeah, for sure. And then we do want to select some 6K golfers yet again. To me, it's all about upside. And I think what I'd want to do, I think we can drop down a little bit lower. I do like Matt Jones. Not the greatest buckets, but just when it comes to potential, I like Matt Jones. $6,200 gives us a lot of flexibility. I'm going to add that there. KH Lee, 56 in my rankings. Patton Kizzire, 59. They're $6,500 each, which is pretty good. Mac Hughes, 55th ranked. That's pretty good as well. They're actually better ranked than some of these guys up here, which is nuts. So why don't we add KH Lee to one of these? Actually, hold on. Let's look at Bentgrass stats. It's probably a good indicator of who to select. Kuchar, your best Bentgrass golfer down here, along with Snedeker. Not terrible. ZJ broke her heart last week by missing the cut. I think he missed the cut, right? Yeah, he missed the cut. Let's see here. Do we go with Aaron Wise? Maybe Lucas. I think it's Luke. Yeah, I don't mind Lucas Glover. Lucas Glover seems reasonable. So does Hadwin. Varner the third. I hate rostering Harold Varner. Brendan Todd. Brendan Todd's the pick. Just solid. So we'll add that here. So now we have 85, 81 collectively. Let's see here. Adam Scott's probably too much, right? Yeah, Adam Scott's 84. I could add him here if I wanted to, but that's not kind of where we're going with, right? Finau. We're going Finau. Finau here. That leaves us $300 on the table with that lineup, and Burns. Boom. There you go. Sam Burns with this lineup. Those are some decent Jordan Spieth lineups, and that's kind of where I'm going. Like, I usually like to select 4 of my anchor plays and then just fill in 2. Fill in the rest with 2. Usually what I'll do, though, is with all the 6K golfers, I'll find what my max exposures are for each of them. I'll set it to some number, and I'll only play them that much, and then I randomize the order that they're in, and then just add them to this column, to my wild card column, if you want to call it that. That way, there's really no bias when it comes to, which 6K golfer that I want to place somewhere. I rather have that be my randomization when it comes to building lineups. The rest of them, though, I don't mind, picking your 4. Using the bucket system to, anchor your lineups around, and then kind of freestyling this last pick. Let the 6K range kind of dictate what you can do with that last pick, and then just pick your high upside golfer with it if you are hand making your lineups. Now, if you wanted to use something like an optimizer, so I have an optimizer on Excel. It does a really good job of finding the top optimal lineup. It does a poor job of finding 100 optimal lineups because I have to base everything off of ownership. So it's very simplistic. Let's put it that way when it comes to building lineups. So for instance, if I were to build a lineup and say, these 6 golfers get chosen, what a normal optimizer should do is find your best values. Like if this is your top 6 values in the entire field, what it should do is try to replace one of these, your lowest one, with the next lowest one, or any of these metrics that only goes down a little bit. And it should try to figure out how to build a ton of these lineups, and then based off your exposures, it handpicked the most optimal way for those lineups to show up. I know that's kind of it might be really confusing. I can't show it to you, so unfortunately I can't give that visual evidence or that visual mindset to go with. But either way, this right here will do a good job of building our optimal lineups. I already built 90 lineups as it shows. And I gave everybody, I know these max ownership percentages are a little off of what I'm going to tell you, but I gave everybody, I think it was 25%. 25% exposure, ran 90 lineups just to see what the optimizer chose. So all of these Ys are the golfers it chose. So it skipped DJ, didn't pick DJ once. It didn't pick Morikawa or Brooks. It didn't include DeChambeau, Hovland, or Answer. It didn't select English, and that's fine. We don't really care for that. It also didn't select Burns, Kisner, or Fitzpatrick, which I like Burns and I like Fitzpatrick. So I don't know if I fully, agree with the optimizer. What I'm going to do is just delete all of my lineups so we can kind of go through and see what the number one optimal lineup is, just so you guys can see on the screen. This is taking into account my SweetSpot score, and that's just about it. So it looks like it's a super balanced lineup that the optimizer likes. $9,100 is the highest price guy, and that's Daniel Berger. Then it chooses Webb Simpson, Cameron Smith, Adam Scott, Tyrrell Hatton, and Sebastian Munoz. If we kind of put our rules in as to how many golfers we want based off of the, our anchor buckets that we just went over, let me go ahead and just throw these back on because I already forgot them. I do remember them, but not really. So 0.9. And this was 90. So basically what we can do is select based off of our projections or even probably our max ownerships what we want to do. So we want at least one last year 1. We want at least 1 last year 2. We want at least 4 last week 1s. 2 course history 1s. 1. Okay, so let's just go ahead and throw all of those. Here, I'm gonna do this off screen so you guys, and I will show you how I did it or how I'm doing it. So 1 at least there. 1 at least there. Keep everything else open. Come down to last week 1s. We want at least 4. Wow. You can already see a flaw that I did with the optimizer. Course history 1s, we want at least 2. Course history 2s, we want at least 1. Course history 3s, we want 1. Recent form 1, we want at least 2. Recent form 2, we want at least 1. And recent form, those recent forms, it's basically saying you want 3, 1, and 2, and that's it. So 1, 2, 1. Okay. So as you can see, I added in this column all of my minimums that I want the optimizer to select. This is what was different. This I had originally a max of 3, and that's probably why I didn't choose a lot of these golfers up here. I think it's going to be a little bit different. So if I run this optimizer, let's see who it selects. Probably going to change a little bit. Yeah. So now goes Morikawa, Berger, Finau, Hatton, Watson, and Palmer. It's a great lineup. I like this lineup quite a bit because I don't think really many people are talking about Palmer. I don't know how highly owned he will be. I can guarantee you Bubba will be sub 5%. I shouldn't say guarantee, but I have a strong feeling he'll be sub 5. Hatton will be in that 10% range. A lot of low plays here. Berger will be pretty high. We'll see what Morikawa, what he looks like, but yeah, this is a pretty fantastic lineup. Let's see what our top Jon Rahm lineup is. So now Rahm, then it drops to Smith, Cameron Smith, Tony Finau, Joaquin Niemann, Palmer, and Brandt Snedeker. No thanks. Brandt Snedeker. Let's put it this way. I want to just select. Shoot. I'm not gonna play Brandt. Like Brandt will not be in my top choice. He's nearly blacklisted. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Let's run it again, see who it's gonna show. Just gonna keep going with Brandt. Is that because the optimizer doesn't allow me to do anything? Oh, I put a Y instead of a no. There we go. goes to Westwood. And it actually changes out one of the other guys. I forget who this one was, but now it's Shane Lowry. Okay. What if we kind of go with what we selected here? So Rahm and then into Kokrak, or how about Rahm into Scheffler? Let's see what that is. Let's see what the optimizer selects when I put those two as my anchor spots. It's probably going to break it. No, it does not. Hey, KH Lee. There we go. I do like that. Palmer shows up once again. Hatton, now Sungjae Im. Perfect. What did our lineup look like? Oh, we did not have Sungjae in there. But still a pretty good lineup. Let's see what our favorite... Here, here's the thing. If I go down the list and show you what the optimal lineup is going to be for each one of these golfers, we're going to see a lot of the same. Like, we're going to see Hatton, we'll see Lowry, we'll see Palmer. Obviously, they're good values for their price tags. That's why they're showing up a lot. So it's kind of pointless to continue going through and trying to find who our favorite plays are. Yeah, it's just going to select the same guys. So we'll go ahead, retire the optimizer. I just want to show you guys what those lineups look like. And then, you know, I think a lot of, let's look at, so when it comes to the marquee tee times, and look at some of our golfers that we selected. Let me do it this way. It's probably a little confusing, but Rahm in our marquee tee time pairing, perfect. Spieth in our marquee tee time pairing, as is Victor Hovland, Scotty Scheffler, Daniel Berger, Colin Morikawa, Cantlay. I think Burns is, right? Kokrak and Horschel. Kokrak, we didn't do a Horschel. Kevin Na, we did. I don't see Corey Connors. He's not there. Neither is Cameron Tringali. Xander is, though, right? Yeah, Xander's up at the top. Sungjae? No. Neither is Leishman. Fitzpatrick isn't either. So most of our golfers are also in the marquee tee time pairing. So really, the ones that I just selected, I think McIlroy is too, right? Rory, where are you at? Rory is not in the marquee tee time pairings. That's insane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're excluding 2 10K golfers. Okay. That's interesting. So no Rory. We do have Justin Thomas. He was there. I think Paul Casey. Yeah, Paul Casey's up there. It's Patrick Reed. Patrick Reed is up there. Sorry for it. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not giving anyone epilepsy by doing this. And Finau is as well. Okay. So there we go. I mean, we got a lot of our golfers in the marquee tee time pairings, also in our anchor buckets as well. So it all works out. And I think that's where I'm going to end this. We're actually under an hour, and it's primarily because it was better planning, organizing, that kind of stuff. What I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video, I want to give a giveaway, or I want to provide a giveaway. I have been giving this out to a few, I don't want to call them members yet because I don't have a club or anything like that, but a couple followers who are interested in the bucket system, who are interested in the dream sheet, that kind of stuff. I create this every single week, and I'm ashamed that I haven't provided a giveaway for it, but basically gives you the summary of the tournament, everything that we saw in this video. It'll also give you the dream sheet, all of the pieces of information. So if you want to data mine this, you obviously can. I do spend time figuring out people's shot shapes, their preferred shot shapes. So obviously you can copy that down. You have all this stuff. This can all be copied. Or you can just use this to build your lineups around. gives you the starting hole, the game number, whatever. All you got to do is just go to the data tab, hit that filter, and filters will be applied across everything. So you can do the exact same filtering that obviously we just did when it comes to marquee tee time pairings, all that good stuff. So all you have to do on YouTube, got to be subscribed. I mean, that's a given. Got to like the video, and I want to see comments. Comments help the algorithm out. Out of the golfers you see on the screen, who's your favorite? You know, out of all the anchor plays we chose, all the ones that I've just highlighted, give me your favorite golfer out of any of those. And then, unfortunately, I can't see your email address on YouTube. Otherwise, I would just reach out to you and say, okay, hey man, you want the dream sheet and the bucket system? Here you go. You instead have to email me. So SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com. That is how you can get your hands on this. It's those four things you need to do. Subscribe, like the video, comment your favorite golfer, and then reach out to me on email, SweetSpotDFS@gmail.com, and I'll send it to you. No problem. You don't even have to say that much. Just be like, hey, I want the optimizer, or I want the dream sheet. We'll just call it the dream sheet. On Twitter, like, follow, share. That's all you have to do. Share the tweet that this video comes out on. I will reach out to you looking for your email address, and I will send you this. Just some good information that you can use along with me when building lineups. So that being said, I have nothing else to say. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in tomorrow's video for prize picks. Forgot to mention, link in the description below, but that's it. See you guys later. Bye.